As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases. This podcast is supported by its listeners. If you choose to purchase something using links on our website, we may earn a commission. No books were warped, dog-eared, underlined with purple pen, eaten, cursed, cancelled, burned, or otherwise harmed in the making of this podcast. I'm Tom Tolkien, and this is the School Reading List, a podcast that recommends books you'll want your children to read and books you'll wish you'd read as a child. And to kick off episode 35 of the School Reading List podcast, let's rip open some book post. And first up, Oh Dear, Look What I Got by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxenbury. When a boy goes to the shops, whatever he tries to buy is replaced by a living, breathing rhyme. I went to the shop to get me a carrot. Oh dear, they gave me a parrot. A few mix-ups later, and he's trailed by a hilarious menagerie of unexpected companions. When the chaos reaches its peak, the shopkeepers swap the animals for the right goods at last. This playful repeat and build story for 3 to 7-year-olds is packed with humour, vibrant artwork and perfect read-aloud moments. It's an instant classic, highly recommended. Everything Amplified by Sarah Lippett and Ziggy Hanaor. 15-year-old Nell is used to fading into the background, especially with her twin brother Ludo soaking up the spotlight. But when she ends up stepping into his place in a local band, music gives her a way to push back, speak up, and figure out who she really is. With writing by Ziggy Hanaor and illustrations by Sarah Lippett, this highly relatable coming-of-age story from Cicada Books blends sibling drama, identity and angst with genuine heart. Exploring contemporary social media ambitions, dreams, and the importance of music as a soundtrack to life, Everything Amplified is a powerful graphic novel that teens will seek out. Every Key Stage 4 school library should stock it. Highly recommended. The Incredible Pop-Up Frog and Other Wetland Creatures by Ben Hoare, illustrated by Jasmine Floyd. This highly interactive non-fiction book explores 3 wetland habitats through clever pop-ups and flaps, inviting readers to peek above and below the surface. From frogs and amphibians to insects and birds, it reveals the rich biodiversity of these ecosystems. Jasmine Floyd's illustrations bring each scene to life, pairing vivid visuals with clear chunks of facts and thought-provoking detail. It's an immersive journey through the wetlands, part science, part spectacle, and all beautifully crafted. This is a sensational hardback that will amaze and engage 7 to 12-year-olds for months. The ultimate gift book for nature lovers. This book is Too Quiet. You Add the Noise by Cristina Cubells, illustrated by Joanna Casals. Cristina Cubells and Joanna Casals invite children to supply the sound effects in this highly innovative and playful book for 4 to 8-year-olds. Words, shapes and symbols hint at noises from raindrops to fireworks, while some scenes leave plenty of room for developing imagination. Kitchens, storms and bustling streets all come alive as child readers and adults can experiment with voices and sound. With its clever mix of text and lively illustration, the book turns reading into an infectious performance and encourages children to transform silence into stories full of evocative sounds. Highly recommended for EYFS and Key Stage 1. Harriet Tubman, Force of Nature by Caroline Brewer. This outstanding picture book tells Harriet Tubman's life story through a series of poems paired with striking collage artwork. It follows her journey from childhood in slavery to her daring escape, her leadership on the Underground Railroad, and her service during the Civil War. The poems show how she drew strength from both nature and faith to guide others to freedom. Extra material such as a glossary, index, bibliography, map and photographs make this an especially useful book for Key Stage 2 lessons and primary school libraries.
Ooh.
I See a Star by Saskia Gwinn. Two children and their cat act as guides, moving from drifting space dust to the explosive end of a supernova in Saskia Gwynn's immersive picture book that's ideal for early years learning. 3 to 5-year-olds will be engrossed by the vast scale of the universe and the familiar view of stargazing at home. Developed with Cambridge astronomer Dr. Matthew Bothwell and illustrated by Daniela Souza, this brightly illustrated large-format picture book links scientific accuracy with accessible narrative and visual explanation. Highly recommended.
Ooh.
Brown Girl in the Snow by Yolanda T. Marshall. Amina has left the Caribbean for a snowy new home and longs for the familiar food she grew up with. On a school trip to a greenhouse, she learns that growing plants is still possible, while her classmates share memories of crops from their own countries. Drawing on a traditional Caribbean song, the story explores identity, resilience and belonging. Marianne Ferrer's absorbing artwork adds warmth and vibrancy, making this a highly engaging choice for readers aged 4 to 8.
Ooh.
More Tales from Shakespeare by Michael Morpurgo. Michael Morpurgo returns with a spectacular second volume of Shakespeare retellings, this time covering 8 more plays, including Julius Caesar, Much Ado About Nothing, Othello, and Antony and Cleopatra. Each story is accompanied by engaging illustrations from contemporary artists such as Axel Scheffler, Emily Gravett, Ed Veer, and Dapo Adiola. This hardback collection, ideal for gifting, follows the style of the first volume and offers 8-plus-year-olds an accessible introduction to Shakespeare. Highly recommended. Tales of Ghosts and Hauntings by Susan Martineau, illustrated by Vicky Barker. Susan Martineau brings together tales of hauntings and strange sightings across 6 themed chapters, with Vicky Barker adding some delightfully spooky illustrations. After every batch of accessible and engaging stories, a Let's Investigate section encourages readers to weigh the evidence, compare different versions, and try out their own explanations. Blending folklore with facts and observations, the book nudges children to question what they read and see. It's perfect to spark curiosity in Key Stage 2 classrooms. Big School Selfie Queen by Lisa Williamson. Cleo is determined to keep up her perfect popular image, but braces throw her confidence off balance. Convinced they might even be cursed, she feels her world slipping. But when a school project pairs her with someone unexpected, she's forced to look at herself and others differently. This accessible and fast-paced story captures the everyday pressures of school life with humour and honesty, offering situations 8 to 12-year-olds are highly likely to recognise and relate to. Keep Your Friends Close by Cynthia Murphy. Chloe Roberts is deputy head girl at Morton Academy and, as it turns out, part of a secret society. When her best friend betrays her, Chloe suddenly finds herself cut off and competing against former allies. Everything kicks off when a mysterious book listing student misdemeanors surfaces, somehow tied to the deaths of society members. Set in the 1990s, this explosive thriller for 12-plus-year-olds explores trust, secrets and school drama. Key Stage 3 readers will love it. The Cave Downwind of the Café by Mikey Please. Glumfoot lives in a cave and sticks to the same meal every day until a new cafe opens nearby. Curious, he meets René, the friendly chef, but soon a grumpy ogre causes trouble. Glumfoot decides to help René, and along the way he realises there's more to food and friendship than he expected. This picture book mixes monsters, strange dishes, and exquisitely clever solutions. Magnificent fun for 3+-year-olds, this standout picture book also works well as a companion to the Café at the Edge of the Woods. Ooh. The Fate of Podkin One-Ear by Kieran Larwood. Kieran Larwood's spectacular final World of Podkin One-Ear adventure pulls together heroes and creatures from every corner of the 5 realms. In the Fate of Podkin One-Ear, Podkin must claim the legendary gifts, which fuse into armour made for him alone, before leading rabbits, wolves, wardens and more into a perilous last stand against the Gorm. With immersive illustrations by David Wyatt, this 9th and concluding volume brings the spellbinding saga of Podkin's battles, journeys and legends to a memorable and dramatic close. Highly recommended for Upper Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. Ooh. It's Really, Really Not Fair by Angie Morgan. Polly wants to fly with pigeons, climb mountains and paint the house, but her mum always says no. Each time, Polly protests loudly in ways young children will relate to, until one day she spots another child making an even bigger fuss, and this sudden and unexpected realisation gives her pause. Angie Morgan offers a warm and funny look at fairness and frustration in family settings. Echoing themes from her earlier books, Small Stanley's Book of Scary Stuff and I Really, Really Don't Like Parties, it's perfect for discussion with children aged 3+ in nursery and EYFS. And it's ideal for reading aloud. Ooh. Sad Girl Hours by Anna Zoe Quirk. Saffron, a university student living with seasonal affective disorder, hides her struggles while trying to keep up with her coursework. She meets Nell, an autistic poet with POTS who thrives in autumn and winter, and the two begin ticking off a seasonal bucket list together. As their connection deepens, both navigate challenges around mental health and identity. Told from both viewpoints, this distinctive young adult romance for 13+-year-olds weaves in representation of depression, autism, chronic illness and diverse sexualities, celebrating love, friendship and self-acceptance. Highly recommended. A Match Made in Hell by Charlotte Ingham. Charlotte Ingham's A Match Made in Hell throws 21-year-old Willow into the underworld, where she strikes a deal with King Satanas, completes 7 sin-themed tasks, and maybe she'll get her life back. What follows is a twisty journey through temptation, grit and self-discovery, with plenty of heat along the way. It's a sharp blend of fantasy and romance, best suited to 14+-year-olds. Think sassy soul-searching with a dark, mythic edge. Thank you to all the publishers and publicists for sending us books to review here on this podcast and on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. Here's our rundown of great new children's books hitting the shelves this October. Weird Wood by Curtis Jobling. Squirrel and Bird by Laura Baker and Stacey Thomas. The Street Where Santa Lives by Harriet Howe and Julia Christians. Roar by Manjeet Mann. Avalanche by Simon Fox. The Knotted Island by Catherine Child. The Forever Bear by Lou Fraser and Pippa Koenig. Classic Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. The Bear Who Wanted to Dance by Stephanie Stansby and Wendy J. Warren. The Boy Who Grew Dragons by Andy Shepherd and Sarah Warburton. The Ocean at Night by Isabel Simler and Michelle Hutchison. My Friend Billy Whiskers by David Litchfield. The Butterfly House by Harry Woodgate. The Story of Gold by Miel Tamphanon. The Fantastical Safari by Christiana S. Williams. Atlas of Mythical Journeys by Irina Dobrovetska. Be Right Back by Bill Wood. You Found Oliver by Dustin Thau. Ice Dancer by Alex Cotter. Soup Time Around the World by Denise Weisbluth. The House with the Little Red Door by Grace Easton. The Hidden Wisdom of Animals by Kate Sieber. Forest of Hearts by M.A. Kuzniar. Step Inside a Fairy Tale by Helen Mortimer. Exploring the Universe by Isabel Thomas. Coach by Jason Reynolds. Time for a Bath Animals by Ben Lerwill and Maribel Lechuga. Vote Wolf by Davide Carley. Witch Law by Emma Hines. Moth Dark by Kika Hatza-Paloo. The Last Day of October by Phil Hicks. And our picture book of the month is To Activate Space Portal Lift Here by Antoinette Ortiz. Our non-fiction book of the month is All About Antarctica by Mark Martin. And our fiction book of the month is Letters from the Upside by Katja Balin. On your bookmarks, typeset, turn the page. If you're a teacher, librarian or avid bookworm who loves children's or YA books and you'd like to review brand new titles for the school reading list, get in touch by email. We'd love to hear from you. The address is reviews@schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And here's a rundown of our latest book list, Myths for Children. Patan's Pumpkin by Chitra Sounder, illustrated by Frain Lesac. Patan's Pumpkin brings a southern Indian flood myth to life with warmth and creativity. When floodwaters threaten their land, farmers Patan and Canny carve a boat from an enormous pumpkin to save animals, seeds and food. Chitra Sounder's storytelling celebrates ingenuity and a deep bond with nature, while Frain Lesac's vivid illustrations, inspired by traditional Indian art, add a stunning visual layer. It's a beautiful tale of survival and harmony. Arthur and the Golden Rope by Joe Todd Stanton. Joe Todd Stanton opens the Brownstone family archive with the tale of Arthur, a boy from Iceland whose village fire is stolen by the wolf Fenrir. To save his people, he appeals to the Viking gods, and Thor sets him a challenge. Collect magical objects to create a golden rope strong enough to bind the beast. Told in a bold graphic novel style, this book mixes Norse myth with striking artwork. Coyote's Soundbite by John Agard. John Agard's poem follows the trickster Coyote as he slips into a meeting of earth goddesses from around the world. Each goddess voices concerns for the planet, drawing on stories shaped by myth and tradition. Piet Grobler's illustrations bring global creatures and deities to life. Combining poetry with environmental themes, the book connects folklore, geography and history, providing schools with cross-curricular material while introducing ecological ideas to children aged 6 and over through myth-inspired storytelling. The Dragon's Hoard by Larry Don. Larry Don retells 11 Viking sagas for younger readers, drawing on stories first written in Icelandic manuscripts. The collection ranges from battles with gods, monsters, and dragons to clever tales of survival. Together, they reveal glimpses of Viking life, mixing conflict with moments of loyalty and care. Kate James's illustrations echo northern landscapes and support the storytelling, while background notes offer context. The result is an engaging introduction to Norse mythology and the traditions of early medieval tales. Icarus Was Ridiculous by Pamela Bouchard. 4 ancient Greek myths retold through the voice of Izzy, a schoolgirl on a lively museum trip. Prompted by her classmates' mistakes, she reimagines the tales of Icarus, King Midas, Paris, and the Trojan horse in her own humorous style. Ordinary school details blend with mythological figures, turning classic stories into playful cautionary tales. With illustrations by Thomas Flintham and support from the British Museum, this book for 7 to 9-year-olds makes classical myths fun and accessible. Mythical Tales by Laura Sampson. Laura Sampson brings together 18 traditional tales from around the world, retelling stories from places like Polynesia, Japan, Scotland, and India. Tricksters, gods, and creators all make an appearance in this rich mix of global folklore, and Lilla Belletz's intricate illustrations add immersive depth to each tale. Perfect as a gift book, shelf-stopping library book, or independent reading book, it's a beautifully curated introduction to the storytelling styles and traditions of different cultures. An outstanding hardback, Mythical Tales is ideal for reading to classes in Years 3 and 4. The Tale of Troy by Roger Lancelin Green. This book retells the Trojan War, beginning with the judgment of Paris and Helen's departure, and ending with Troy's fall and Odysseus' return. Key figures such as Achilles, Agamemnon, and Hector are introduced, along with the famous tale of the wooden horse that ended the conflict. This new edition includes an introduction by Michelle Paver, a glossary, activities, and character notes, offering 9+-year-olds an accessible way into Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. Ideal for Key Stage 2 libraries. Myth Atlas by Tiago de Moraes. This large format hardback explores 12 mythological traditions through stories, maps, and cultural details. It reveals how different civilizations pictured the world, from giant trees to cosmic turtles, while introducing their gods, heroes, and monsters. Featured cultures include Greek, Norse, Egyptian, Hindu, Japanese, Aztec, Polynesian, Yoruba, Slavic, and Native American. Alongside retellings of myths, readers will find illustrated maps, pronunciation guides, and historical notes. It's highly recommended for 7 to 10-year-olds. The Odyssey of Phoebe Quilliam by Annalise Gray. Greek myth-loving Phoebe is thrown into an adventure after she accidentally damages a mysterious painting tied to her grandmother. Along the way, she crosses paths with a boy whose father once built ships for Odysseus. Family, memory, and loss thread through the tale, which mixes fantasy with classical twists and looks at how illness shapes the people we care about. Thoughtful but never heavy-handed, if you're teaching the ancient Greeks this term in Key Stage 2, this is an ideal class reader. African and Caribbean Folk Tales, Myths and Legends by Wendy Shearer. This illustrated collection brings together traditional tales from Africa and the Caribbean, retold for 7+-year-olds. Stories include Anansi the Spider, the origin of the leopard's spots, a king who dreams of touching the mood, and Aunt Misery with her magical starfruit tree. Organised by themes such as trickster tales and magical adventures, this book presents a wide range of voices and characters, offering an engaging introduction to folklore and mythology. Loki, A Bad God's Guide to Taking the Blame by Louis Stowell. Loki's diary adventures continue with the trickster still stuck on Earth in the body of a schoolboy. To win his way back to Asgard, he needs virtue points, school attendance, and a record of good deeds. Trouble begins when Thor's hammer goes missing, and all eyes turn to him. To clear his name, Loki must track it down. Mixing Norse myth with school chaos, doodle-style diary entries, and plenty of humour, this book for 9 to 11-year-olds brings ancient tales zipping into modern life. Children of the Quicksands by Afua Traore. Afua Traore sets her well-paced novel in a Nigerian village, where 13-year-old Simi is sent from bustling Lagos to live with her grandmother, a revered healer. Told to stay away from the forbidden lake, she cannot resist, and what she finds pulls her into a world of quicksand, spirits, and dark forces. As children vanish, Simi must dig into family secrets and Yoruba myth to uncover the truth. It's a compelling tale of folklore and family and great for reading with classes in Key Stage 2. Fadum by Agnes Menard-Gerard and Lorna White. Fadum immerses readers in a richly illustrated exploration of fairy mythology, drawing from global myths and folklore to present a detailed account of these magical beings. This spectacularly detailed guide includes stories, poems, and factual insights into fairy origins, powers, and cultural significance. Through captivating visuals by Nadzia Makiyeva, Fadum is a stunning large-format hardback that brings to life the world of fairies. It's an ideal gift book for imaginative 9+-year-olds. Here's a selection of exciting new book tasters sent to us by new and self-published children's authors this month.
My novel, The Collaborator, is specifically written for Key Stage 4 and contains no bad language. The Collaborator is a dystopian alternative world story of young adults rising up against a tyrant, not realising that there is a reason why he's a tyrant and why he is passing such harsh laws. The rebels commit acts of defiance and vandalism. The ruler is fully aware of their actions, but strangely does nothing to stop them, and even destroys evidence of their crimes. On a superficial level, this is an action story, with themes of trust, compassion, and betrayal. The underlying story tells of the lengths that people go to in order to protect the ones they love, the guilt they feel over the lies they are forced to tell, and the misplaced beliefs that drives their actions. The book is self-published and is available through Amazon.
Hi, my name is Clodagh Ryan, and I'm excited to introduce Sally the Spider, a joyful picture book adventure for children aged 3 to 7. One day, while spinning her web, Sally had the most curious thought. I have 8 tiny feet. Wouldn't 8 tiny shoes be really sweet? And just like that, she sets off into the forest to find them. Along the way, she meets friendly creatures like Freddy the Frog, Rosie Robin, Mr. Mole, and Molly Mouse, each offering clues, kindness, and a bit of fun. With rhythm and rhyme, Sally the Spider is a gentle tale of adventure, friendship, and finding joy in the little things, like the perfect pair of shoes, ×4. Sally the Spider is available now on Amazon. It is the perfect read for bedtime, story time, or little dreamers who love a fun journey with a big-hearted character.
Anna Denton and the Water of Life, the first of a 2-part fantasy book set in a contemporary world on the brink of climate catastrophe. It is aimed at 9 to 12-year-old age range, with a focus on dual heritage protagonists. The below. As fires rage and waters rise across the globe, the future has been forgotten, lost to the endless pursuit of more. The event forces an unimaginable worldwide crisis. Children have disappeared everywhere. Only one remains, Anna Denton. As Anna Denton searches to find her place in a burning world, she is thrust into an epic adventure to find and bring back the children of Earth before it is too late. Available from www.jhbpress.co.uk and ebook from Amazon, Google and Kobo.
If you'd like to get in touch and leave a recorded shout-out about your upcoming self-published children's book, have a look at our podcast webpage for more details. A library in every primary. What £10 million means, what schools need, and how to make it work. The government's £10 million pledge for a library in every English primary school is welcome, but it won't stretch far. Around 1,700 schools lack a space, and an even split gives each about £5,900, enough for shelves, a starter book stock, a simple management system, and a bit of outside librarian time. What it won't buy is ongoing staff. Without that, school libraries risk becoming wasted or hijacked spaces. And yes, Westminster still spends more on biscuits than it does on each libraryless state primary school. The government this week confirmed £10 million to guarantee a library in every state primary in England by the end of this Parliament. 1 in 7 UK primaries does not have a library space. Need is higher in disadvantaged areas, and many schools without a space are in the north of England. The headline pot is £10 million. Sector reports point to about 1,700 primaries without a library. If that group alone is eligible, an even split implies about £5,900 per school. The exact allocation will differ, yet the rough scale is clear. If eligibility is wider, the per-school figure will drop markedly. It helps to set expected costs. A functional primary library needs 4 things: a defined space, book stock, a basic library management system, and time from trained staff. Space and fittings matter. Schools with a spare room or a defined corner need shelving, low units and seating. UK suppliers list primary bookcases from around £120 per unit, rising to £300 to £600 for stronger or display units and above £900 for premium single bays. A small room needs multiple bays and some face-out display. A corridor needs mobile or double-sided units. Even a minimal layout can reach 4 figures before any books are considered. Book stock has a price. Trade sources show the average selling price in children's books at about £6.45 in late 2024, with mean paperback RRPs near £8.22. A £5,900 grant spent only on books would add under 1,000 paperbacks at current average selling prices, and fewer if schools buy new hardbacks or reference material. That sounds appealing, but most schools will divide the grant across furniture, stock and systems, so the first purchase will be smaller. Systems are essential. A cloud library management system keeps records, barcodes, borrowing and reports. Entry offers used by small libraries advertise annual hosting and support at around £199. Schools' library service partnerships also quote packages that include setup within a few £100. Well-known platforms provide full features but publish prices on request or via resellers, and review sites show that prices vary hugely. A prudent plan sets aside at least a few £100 in year 1. Staffing is the key. Evidence links staff libraries with higher attainment and use. The School Library Association's response to the pledge states that a dedicated member of staff is essential for a sustainable service. UK job data places school librarian roles in the low to mid 20,000s pro rata outside London and higher in some areas and scales. A one-off grant does not meet this running cost. Sharing a librarian across a cluster or buying into a school's library service is a practical route. Schools should be realistic about impact. UK and international reviews report consistent associations between school library access and better reading outcomes. Effects are stronger where a trained librarian runs the service and where collections match pupil needs. A 2019 review for the National Literacy Trust and partners summarises this picture. Peer-reviewed work shows higher scores for pupils in schools with full-time certified librarians. Those studies vary by context and methods. The weight of the research is correlational, so implementation quality matters. The reading context brings both urgency and risk. Reading for pleasure is at a low point according to UK survey data. In 2024, only about 1 in 3 children and young people said that they enjoyed reading in free time. Daily reading is lower. These figures show a need for access and for programs that drive use. A room with books only helps if pupils visit and borrow, staff run sessions, and stock stays current. Here are some clear ideas to turn £10 million into a service in schools that lack one now. The steps are simple, measurable, and stay within the budget pot. 1. Publish the allocation method. State the eligible schools and per school cap. Confirm what money can buy. The announcement says further detail will follow. Schools need clarity on whether allocations fund capital only or also cover setup, training, and a short period of staffing time. A fixed template lowers administration and speeds delivery. 2. Use a standard basket of items per school. Provide 6 to 10 bays of shelving or mobile units matched to the space plan, basic seating signage and labelling, and an initial stock target by pupil number. Build a light kit list for small spaces and a larger list for full rooms. Unit prices from UK frameworks and suppliers show that a basic package fits inside 4 figures for fittings and signage, leaving a book and systems budget. 3. Fund a library management system for at least 1 year. Include a barcode scanner. Entry, hosting and support offers set a benchmark below £250 a year, while other platforms price by quote. Ring-fence a minimum per school so no site opens its doors without a system. A system also supports stock audits and impact reporting. 4. Buy time. Create a small budget line per school to purchase a set number of visits from a school's library service or a peripatetic librarian across a cluster. Local examples publish subscription costs per school and per pupil. This gives setup help, stock advice, processing, and initial staff training. If the central grant cannot fund staffing, the Department of Education can still name this as the preferred route and invite trusts and local authorities to co-fund. 5. Link the library setup to reading for pleasure programs. Proven low unit cost schemes do exist at scale. Book Trust Book Buzz provides a book for each participating Year 7 or Year 8 student at £3.55 per pupil, with resources to support choice and book talk. A primary can run an age-appropriate approach to choice and book ownership through local schemes or via schools' library service projects. The key is timetabled selection and book chat in the library space. 6. Target where gaps are widest. The announcement cites higher need in the north and a 1 in 7 figure overall. Parliament's research brief reports 14% of primaries without a dedicated library area across the UK, with regional differences. Publishing an eligibility list with criteria ensures that sites without a space move first. It also lets PTAs and trusts match funds. 7. Plan for falling roles. Department for Education projections show a decline in nursery and primary numbers through the decade. Design modular spaces and mobile units that can move if classes combine or schools merge. A flexible layout protects value and keeps the service running when admissions change. 8. Measure provision and use. Add a simple field to the school census or a light-touch termly return that records the presence of a dedicated library space, librarian hours or services brought in, the number of new titles added, active loans per pupil, and the library management service in use. This avoids a heavy burden and creates a baseline for evaluation against reading outcomes. Reports and reviews call out gaps in current data. So what does the £10 million buy in practice for schools with no libraries today? A minimal fit-out can provide 4 to 8 bays of shelving with some face-out units. An initial purchase can add a few hundred books chosen to match the role and curriculum. A 1-year subscription can cover a basic cloud library management system with barcode labels and a scanner. A limited number of visits or days can come from a school's library service or cluster librarian for setup, training, and a start-of-year and mid-year stock refresh. What the £10 million does not cover on its own is ongoing staffing in every school. Salary data shows that even part-time librarian hours add up to 5 figures per year in many areas. This is the pressure point. The School Library Association calls for a dedicated member of staff. The evidence base supports paid librarian time as a driver of use and attainment. The delivery plan should therefore include a parallel route that provides a cluster service with clear time in each school every week or fortnight, recorded on a timetable. For teachers and heads planning next term, the checklist is short. You should confirm whether your school is on an eligibility list once it's published. You should map a space and select units that fit. You should agree a stock profile by year group and subject. You should pick a library management system and set up a basic catalogue. You should schedule weekly library time by class. You should secure support from a school's library service or a cluster librarian for induction, processing, displays and training. You should tie the space to a Reading for Pleasure programme so every pupil chooses and takes a book home during Term 1. For parents, the test is simple. Can your child borrow a book from school each week? Can they find books they want to read? Is a member of staff available in the library at fixed times? Is there a record of what each child borrows? These are the signs that the space is in use. For policymakers, 3 smart moves would lift this plan. First, publish the allocation and rules in one place with dates. Second, pair the capital spend with a modest annual revenue stream for at least 2 years for systems, processing and service time. Third, publish simple metrics so schools and families can see progress. The reading gap remains. Survey data shows low enjoyment and low daily reading rates. The PISA cycle also reports falls in reading performance across many countries since 2018. A school library alone does not solve this, but it is a concrete input under school control. A staffed, stocked, scheduled library supports choice, talk and practice. Those are the habits that underpin progress in class and at home. If all that is not enough to give pause, positive perception is also key, and this is where the government might have to work harder. Here is some context for the figures that keep being quoted. For every £1 set aside for primary school libraries, roads get £160 for potholes in 2025. In the last year alone, regional water companies faced £155.6 million in enforcement fines. Is sewage really worth 10 times more than children's reading? Consider this as well. House of Commons Catering bought £24,629 worth of biscuits across 2022 to 2024 before VAT. Set the totals side by side over similar time periods. The figures are £10 million for all primary school libraries, £1.6 billion for potholes, £155.6 million in sewage enforcement, £5,900 for each school without a library, and £24,629 on biscuits in the House of Commons. The announcement is a positive move, but policymakers need to be transparent and state what they want to achieve, and they should clarify exactly how each school will benefit. Otherwise, the government risks appearing to have taken the biscuit and already eaten it. If you'd like to get in touch, use the hashtag SRLpodcast on Twitter or drop us a line using the contact form or messaging button on our website schoolreadinglist.co.uk. And all the books lived happily ever after. The end.